What's up, everybody? Aphrodite Crush back here with you once again. Let's talk for a hot minute. Not gonna really be talking about like state of the channel or anything, but we're gonna be talking about something else. Of course, you guys have noticed that within the past couple weeks, I've done more Heroclix content, and I want to talk for a couple of minutes about why I've kind of like switched to Heroclix in lieu of Magic. And the reason why I want to talk about that is my diverting away from being a Magic player. A lot of this is going to be me talking about Magic the Gathering. I started playing Magic the Gathering probably like 1997. I've taken some breaks here and there from the game for different reasons. But I used to always come back eventually. One way or another, I would always find my way back to these little 60 plus card decks of cardboard. And the first day that I played Magic, I walked into the store in my city called Star Collectors, and I bought my first starter deck. And it was like this new era of like creativity opened up in front of me. I used to buy packs back when they weren't, $7, $8 a piece at some retailers. And I used to spend my weekends just plotting and prodding out decks and having the ability to buy packs on a weekly basis. And having the ability to get cards from my local retailers, because it wasn't just Star Collectors who had the cards. We had Comic Adventures in town as well at the time, across town. And it was this type of fun of being able to buy a pack, rip open a pack, and be able to find cards that you were looking for, or be able to go buy a single that wasn't overpriced as a late teen, early 20s guy. Fast forward to 2024, we now have a 30th anniversary edition that cost $1,000 for cards that weren't even standard legal. We have collector boosters that are $25, and the value that you get out of these is not even $5. We have commander decks, which in my day they were called Highlander. That's how far back I go. Back in the day, you can get for $25 to $40, and now they're $80 to $100 day one. And not only that, whereas those types of releases back in those days were maybe once a year, now it's almost every single quarter. 4 times a year at minimum, you will see a commander deck being released, or a set of commander decks being released. I feel, as a Magic player, Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, they're finished with the old school. They want to price us out of the game. They want to shove the people who actually enjoyed the integrity of the game. And it's not just monetarily, like the power creep of these cards now is insane. The amount of stuff that they're trying to force into this game has now made it to the point where I don't even want to bust out an old deck to play, because now I'm like, oh, well, what if whoever I'm going to play against might have gone out and bought something for the new decks, because we don't really play like eras or whatever. And it's just cheap cost, all power, boom, the game's over in 5 turns. I don't even want to go to Friday Night Magic anymore. Like, I haven't been there in years anyway, but now it feels like if you show up to Friday Night Magic, like the power level is insane, as basically whoever has the most money wins. The old days it didn't feel that way. I haven't bought like an actual just regular like $5 pack of cards, a booster pack, in over a year. And that used to be like my lifeblood on the weekends, you know? That used to be like my thing. Like I would just, every single week, I get paid from my minimum wage job, and I would make the budget fit for a pack of cards. And now, and you guys have seen Tulare Community College's videos on the booster box game, you know as well as I do exactly where the value is in any new set. And then a couple months ago, I'm like, I want to find a game. I want to find something to play. And I started thinking, it's like, you know what? Let me take a look at Heroclix again, because I attempted to play some years ago, and I think my head was too far in line with Magic, and it didn't fit in my life at the time. But now I'm like, you know what? I got the time, I had the ability, and I want to play a game. And I'm a Marvel guy, so I bought some Marvel Heroclix. I mean, this right here is my game day packs. Got my next phases, my iconics, my dice, so on and so forth. And I'm like, well, we'll give it a shot. And I said from the get-go, worst comes to worst, I have figures to put on my shelf if I don't end up liking it. Whatever. So, started learning more about the game, bought some newer stuff. So I'd already bought a couple years ago. I thought about getting into it, just didn't have the funds at the time. It was too much of a financial investment for me at the time. It just wasn't the right time. And now it's like, you know what? Got a little bit here spare here and there, even from my business. Like, you know what? I can give myself a little bit instead of just shifting, But so I started paying attention to the videos, started, learning, and decided, of course, last week to actually go to an event and played, and I got that happiness and that enjoyment again. I was around people who wanted to help teach. I was around people who wanted to learn, because I had a couple other people there too who were relatively new or coming back to the game themselves. And I was happy to be there to learn a game and to be in an environment where it didn't feel like the amount of money I spent was automatically equal to a win. I think I said in last week's video, like, I was up against the Hellfire Gala. I think it was the Avengers or X-Men. I can't remember which one. I think it might have been the Avengers. I think it was the Avengers. But I actually took out one of his characters just off of good dice rolls and halfway decent strategy, which I actually started the game with bad strategy. I wasn't paying enough attention to the map. And I was like, oh, I actually took a character out. Like, wait a second. I'd never done this when I wanted to play years ago. Which also, I think part of that was one of the people who were trying to teach me he didn't see anything more than somebody's going to come and spend a couple bucks. He was a bad teacher. The other person who was trying to teach me, much better teacher. But now I'm like, oh, I've already made progress. Like, literally playing the game, not even a full half an hour. I made more progress in this in now than I have before. And I'm getting as much enjoyment out of this game now as I have had playing Magic for probably the last 5 years, at least. I don't feel priced out of the game. The figures that I had picked up was literally, it's actually technically a couple pre-constructs. So play at home kit, and they call it the pizza party, which comes with some preset figures, and that's it. And the iconics, but again, that's literally a special edition, and you know exactly what it is. You pick it up and you play. You work it into your team. It's all about strategy and putting together a decent team. So that's why I'm kind of making this video. It's just saying to the people who make Magic the Gathering, you have made so many mistakes within the past decade, to the point where I am now happier playing another game. I have this happiness playing Heroclix that I have not had in Magic in a minimum of 5 years, most likely closer to a decade. And it all could have been avoidable if the people making the game would make an investment in us as players. You know, playing Heroclix and playing these games and learning about the sets of the past year, and just in this past year, like them actually saying, like, we do this for the fans, and actually giving us what we asked for, or what we as fans asked for. Versus Wizards is just like, here, we'll just, and we're just going to reap the cash. You know, it's sad to potentially be walking away from a game that I had held in high regard for so long. But on the other hand, I feel like as a gamer, I'm treated so much better as a gamer by Heroclix. You know, I tell people, I say, if you ever want your children to never get hooked on drugs, introduce them to Magic the Gathering. They'll never get hooked on drugs. Not because it's an activity, it's because they won't have any fucking money left. That's true. But, again, it is what it is in the end. If Wizards can rein it back and maybe not attempt to, pillage my pocketbook for all that it's worth with no value, maybe I'd come back someday. But when I'm going to a pre-release next week for Heroclix, and it's a DC set, you know that you're pushing people away. Why do I say this? Because I'm not a DC fan off the top. I don't really like DC a whole heck of a lot. It's not my thing, More of a Marvel guy. But if I'm going to go to a Heroclix pre-release next week and spend money on DC product rather than put back money for a Magic set that will be most likely useless and valueless within weeks of release, you made a problem. So I find myself happier playing this game. Now, I know we're 13 minutes in talking about tabletop and cardboard, but I think as consumers, when we think about these things, we don't think about them in these types of terms of if we're happy playing them. Some of us are so used to playing Magic that we'll never stop. Never stop buying the sets. I know for a fact that there are people out there who are just so locked in, it's no longer about fun, and it's just about winning. And that is not mutually exclusive. They're so locked into playing Magic, and that's because that's all that they've known. And it's sad that those are the people who Wizards are going to take advantage of the most. Because, of course, do you want to win your local tournaments? Here, you need to spend out money for this card. Good luck finding it. But this is what you're going to need to do. Whereas, the HeroClix stuff, not that terribly hard to find, and even your cheaper figures are versatile. Back in the old days, when your cheaper cards or Magic were versatile as well, now you're lucky. You are lucky. But again, that's neither here nor there. Actually, that is part of the problem. Because value is more than money. It's usefulness in game. And I feel like in playing Heroclix, you get some of that versatility from your cheaper figures, which, by the way, almost all of them will end up being around $1 if they're standard legal. From day one, when Bloomborough or Duskmoor, whichever one's coming up, says Duskmoor. When Duskmoor comes out, day one, there are going to be cards that are going to be literally worth 5 cents. And that you're going to get most of those cards in your $5 booster packs. And you'll be lucky to get $1 worth of value out of a $5 booster pack. Whereas I pick up a booster pack of Heroclix, most likely, for anything standard legal, around $15, I can almost be guaranteed around $5 worth of value. That's at least 30% of the purchase off the shelf. Whereas Magic, good luck. Good luck. And then, of course, those odds of your value coming out of the box go drastically down when you buy a collector booster for $25, and you get that same amount of maybe $1's value out of that. It is what it is. And as a consumer, this is why I pretty much am just making the shift. I may not be buying as much product because it's going to cost a little bit more to play Heroclix, obviously. But I'm going to be happier as a consumer doing that. And I'm also more apt to maybe spend out a little bit more money for certain things like I've had my eyes on the Iron Man Hall of Armor set from the Iconics line. And that might be my next one. Kong might be my next one. That's also a possibility. The Wakandan Hulkbuster might be my next one. But I find myself wanting to spend that amount of money because there's value coming back in it. Hell, I've even thought about, like, just somewhere down the line, maybe asking for Christmas for my wife, Galactus. Because that guy got some power, you know what I'm saying? But you see what I'm talking about. But if you guys have any comments, anything of the sort, feel free to knock them down in the comment section. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. This isn't really a fail rage. It's more of a disappointed rage, I guess would be the words that I would use. And I hope that if you are going to support any game, no matter which maker it is, that you can get joy and happiness from that game. Because if we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, and some of us spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, I've spent in the thousands for Magic, that you can get that happiness that you pay for. Because everyone, if you're going to play a game, you deserve to have the happiness out of that game. But again, thank everybody out there for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one.